Disclaimer: the following fic is intended for mature audiences, for it contains mentions of death, framed suicides, and corpse desecration. And a terrible Spanish woman impression. And if any of that offends you or makes you uncomfortable, viewer discretion is advised. I would also like to apologize in advance for that last point. Also, a spoiler warning for the game of Omori. Mari Suzuki's Overly Busy Afterlife by Shard of Hope. Chapter 1. The Night Before the First Day. You would think death could be the worst thing to happen to you. It was traumatic, accidentally being flung down the stairs onto shards of broken wood by an antisocial gremlin, dying in a heap on the floor, watching as he and Basil hung your body for a cover-up from outside her body, so she got a sweet 2-for-1 trauma deal. Honestly, she was almost impressed, if not concerned, why a child knew how to tie a noose. Hell, she'd say she was angry for the first month, filling her brother's head with nightmares as he slept, knocking his spoons off the table, or messing with his reflection. But it didn't take long for her to start feeling guilty of this childish lashing out. Her brother and friends were mourning her, and Sunny was not doing well. Mari could not forget when he came back from the funeral. She flew through a wall, ready to continue to torment her murderer until she saw him. The boy was choking back sobs as he curled up in his bed. His suit hung off his thin frame, ruffled and stained with tears. He shook as he pressed his face to his knees, hugging his legs like it was his last lifeline. But when she got close to him, he scrambled back after looking. Panic followed shock as Mari mirrored Sunny's motions. That wasn't possible. "Little bro, can you see me?" she asked, a lump growing in her incorporeal throat. He nodded quietly as she gasped. How long exactly?" His voice is like a forgotten whisper. "Since I pushed you." Ugly sobs filled the room as the pit of her stomach dropped through the floor. He had seen her constant glares, heard every snide comment, every rage-filled scream, and every sob that came out of her. He had heard her screaming at him for the entire duration of Mari's former body being lowered into the ground. For the first time, following her death, she felt ashamed. She was tormenting an 11-year-old. No, really, she was tormenting a 12-year-old. Because her asshole, now deadbeat father decided to put the funeral on Sunny's birthday as if to make him even more miserable. He had postponed her own funeral for an extra month just to ruin the poor kid's life on top of bouncing out of his life. It was then Mari noticed the knife, and in a blind panic she tried to grab it. It shouldn't have worked, but it was the first thing in a month she's touched. Both stared at the other, neither moving except for the ethereal wind that blew her through her hair. She let it slip as it clanged on the floor, launching herself at her brother. It saddened her to watch Sunny brace for impact, but she didn't hit him. She hugged him tightly. "You don't have to worry, little brother." She could feel his dirty, matted hair and feel his ragged sobs on her chest. "I'll stay with you until you're ready. You'll have to let go of me eventually, okay?" He nodded into her dress. It would take time, but she believed in Sunny. "You will need to tell our friends, too, but not yet. Rest, okay?" Another nod. She held him until he fell asleep. A spike of guilt lanced through her heart. This was the first restful sleep he had had, and he had spent an entire month invading his dreams, lacing them with fear. She stroked his head idly. She would help him get well, and he would be a good, well-adjusted member of society. "Sunny? What the fuck are you doing?" Mari pinched the bridge of her nose as she looked at her gremlin of a brother, who looked like a spooked cat, 1 foot in the bathtub, 1 foot out. He was currently holding a lighter to Dad's old charcoal grill, filled with newspaper and what she assumed was way too much lighter fluid. A pack of hot dogs rested on the bathroom counter. An umbrella shaded the bathroom, as he had filled half the bath with sand. Where in the holy hell did he even get sand from? Sunny just stared. clad in an old Hawaiian shirt and swim trunks. It had worried her a bit how he was still so thin and so small, he had barely ate. Mari wondered if they should switch his therapist again. Then again, it was hard enough to find one that would do remote work in the first place and fit their shoestring budget. Beach party? Sunny gestured to the gathered implements around him as if it were obvious. Mari just glared harder. And what happens if you light a grill inside? Sunny thought for a beat, then lit up. Indoor beach party? Can a ghost have a swimsuit? He pondered harder as he began to lower the lighter towards the grill. Mari snatched the lighter as Sunny let out a whine. Sunny, what does fire make? Good food? Mari groaned. Sometimes she couldn't tell if he was being dumb on purpose or just to annoy her. I mean, a 16-year-old should know better. Fire makes smoke. Smoke goes up. In this case, it will fill the room and murder you! She booped his head with the lighter. Now clean this up and take a proper bath. I'll deal with the grill. Sunny nodded absentmindedly as he grabbed the half-open pack of hot dogs and was about to bite into one as she snatched away that too. No raw food either, you little shit! Sunny grinned at her as he put up the umbrella. It was a small thing. She always saw it when he was doing something like this. A sly, cat-like thing that took great pleasure in tormenting her. Mari wasn't even sure if this wasn't just her hell. She dumped the hot dogs in the trash with a groan. Seems like he was gonna eat expired hot dogs. Sunny had no self-preservation skills at all. In fact, this thing kinda happened constantly. The grill was still floating slowly down the stairs. Her mastery of levitation wasn't the best, so slow and steady would work good enough. She could pick things up, touch Sunny, and even objects, but anything over what seemed like 70 pounds she couldn't lift. She opened the fridge as she checked on the grill's slow journey. It was empty. Fantastic. Another chore to do. Then again, at least he was trying to eat. Kel was concerned, to say the least. His gears turned over and over as he chewed his food slowly. His mother looked on with great concern. He hasn't gotten a second plate, and it has been a full 20 minutes. Sweetie? Are you feeling okay? You haven't eaten. She paused. As much, at least. All she got was a nod before he hesitated a bit. Hey, Mom! Is our town haunted? Dear, why are you asking about that? Confusion painted on her face. 2 weeks ago, as Kel was returning from late-night practice, turning onto his street, he saw something odd. 2 bulging other-marked bags were just hovering down the street, floating in defiance of God and Kel's strained understanding of gravity. Home delivery didn't mean that. They stopped in front of the house next door, a key floating out of one of the bags and unlocking the door, then going inside. Kel just stared as a small food dish was put out and a fat black cat came flying out of nowhere, eager for its dinner. Both the cat and food bowl just floated into the dark house after the fat beast was done, hovering several feet off the ground. Kel was wondering if this was a good idea. Breaking out via the 2-story window to go hang out with his basketball team down at the court. Not his fault he sucks at math. Hiro isn't around to tutor and he does his homework and we started getting annoyed with Kel. Besides, it'll be fine. There's a bush to break his fall. Kel, however, forgot it was a rose bush. A crash came from the house next door to save him from his own moronic actions. Kel watched in horror as a figure jumped through the window towards the ground head first. If they landed like that, they'd be dead for sure. But just before they hit the ground, they just stopped. The figure looked like it was panicking. The breaststroke they were trying to do as they fell in reverse was a work of art. But it does little to stop their slow rise. They let out a cat-like hiss once they clung to the broken window pane, screaming a quiet yell as he was dragged into the darkness. Then the lights turned on. Ah, the sound of the wooden spoon. Someone was in trouble. Kel nodded solemnly. The consequences for dipshittery he was all too familiar with. He saluted for his fallen comrade. This had 2 effects. The first was the part of gravity he was vaguely familiar with, acting on him without his hand holding the windowsill. The second was the orange gel puddle he had slipped in as he fell out of the window, into the bushes. He was walking Hector when he came across that fat black cat Kel saw earlier. Hector, of course, chased it up a tree, much to Kel's dismay. "Come on, Hector, leave that one alone," Kel pouted. "It has psychic powers." Hector did not regard his wise words, but then again he was too busy barking and doing his little hop wiggle around the bark. Kel just screamed as his dog was lifted and dunked into a nearby trash can. The cat then hopped down from the tree and levitated like 3 feet in the air while staring daggers the entire time as it floated away. It proved its dominance as it T-posed into the distance. Kel wondered if expired orange gel was hallucinogenic. Because I'm pretty sure Sonny's house is haunted. Oh, and they have this magic cat and a wizard living there. One that can reverse the flow of time through the power of their mind. I was just wondering if there's presents for that? Precedence. That's the word, right? This is bullshit. He just asked a simple question. Now here he was stuck outside, cooling down. He held the thermometer in his mouth with a groan. His mom overreacted for sure. She's now calling Hero, most likely, wondering if little brother syndrome had finally made him lose it. Then again, he always saw these things late at night. Maybe his mom was right about playing basketball at 2 a.m. when the rain was bad for his health. Who knew? It was then an explosion from next door rocked the block. The windows of his house rattled and shook. He was knocked off the back stoop, almost falling into the cursed rosebush again. He ran over and peeked over the fence to see what that was. It looked like a bomb had gone off. Did the wizard cast a fireball? Kel shook as he looked around for a glowing white bearded man. The pile of smoldering scrap metal was shaking. He leaned in a bit closer, squinting as he watched the wreckage site. He yelped, ducking as a sharp metal shard was launched at him. He just kept running down the street. He was gonna get away before that wizard could get him. Mari was fed up with today. First, all that stupid shit in the bathroom. Then realizing that she needs to go grocery shopping, hoping that her malnourished brother eats more. And now it turns out, her dad was an even bigger piece of shit than she expected. It seemed he didn't quite quit his drinking, as 3 bottles of 70% vodka was hidden in his old grill. No wonder he always liked to do yard work. She thought that burning it outside would make sure Sonny couldn't do it later. Turns out, lighter fluid, paper, and sealed bottles of booze make a bomb. She was lucky that she was already dead, considering part of the metal poke holding it up went right through her and the back door. She sighed. Another thing to deal with. And if she didn't get some sleep tonight, she was going to be dead tomorrow. Well, more so at least. She grabbed a shard and threw it over her shoulder, not noticing the yelp. She groaned as she looked at the smoldering wreckage. Her eyes widened as water was dumped on it from above, putting the embers to rest. Sonny was pouring water out of sand bucked from the first floor, following it up by dumping a bathtub of sand on it. Huh. Seems that stuff had a use, actually. "Good job, Sonny. How about you finish up your homework and we'll get dinner, okay?" He gave her a thumbs up. As she grabbed the credit card from the counter, she was eternally grateful that her mother was such a mess, and that she didn't notice them maxing out this card every time the autopay cleared the debt. It was a decent chunk of change, about $2,000 a month, but with Sonny's therapy, as well as his homeschooling, food, and art supplies, things could get a bit strained. It would be nicer if her mom gave half a shit, but she's sure that she slept at her job these days. I swear I'm lucky she leaves all her documents under the bed. Identity theft is like the only way I can get shit done around here. Trying to ignore the thought of her negligent remaining parent, she opened the door, letting Miwu out as she headed towards Uttermart. It was late enough there that there shouldn't be any issue. As she bruised the produce, she let her mind wander to her brother. Sonny was better now than he had ever been before, but she was still concerned, to say the least. He occasionally did something with no regard of his safety or of his life, but he was much worse before. She could still remember finding him shivering in her bed after finding all her old mends for her knee. That was a funny art trip. He wasn't actively trying to end it anymore, at least, but he didn't take care of himself. He didn't go outside, he didn't eat very much, and on top of that, he has no regards for his life. Every time she reprimanded him, he just grins that small grin. It's not like he didn't care. Hell, half the time, she wasn't sure whether he was doing to annoy her or not. Thank God for self-checkout. She scanned the items and stuffed them into a plastic bag. Oddly, they were easy to grab. Then again, plastic is made of oil, and oil is dead dinosaurs, so maybe it's easier than dead can interact with the dead? She hasn't seen any other ghosts, even when Sunny visited her grave a few months back at 2 a.m. The ghosts were not going to come out at 2 a.m. in a graveyard. Maybe she was the only one? Her ghost train of thoughts was broken by the clack of a scanner against the tiled floor. An employee was watching food just float into bags after scanning itself at self-checkout. The older lady just stared long and hard at this and asked,
How are you going to pay?
A credit card hovered up and she shrugged.
I don't get paid enough to care if this place is haunted or not.
And simply walked off. Mari was in utter awe of the level of not a single care given. What a magical thing. On her way home, passing the park and its many cats, she paused for a moment, laying out the extra fish she bought for the feline feeding frenzy. Cats were always able to see her, even when nobody but Sunny could. They were worried at first, but the cat's favor could easily be swayed by fancy fish feasts. It was the best part of her week, the one indulgence she afforded. However, one fat tabby approached her with a gift. It dropped its prize at her feet. A crisp dollar bill, but only slightly marred with dirt and cat drool. "Oh, thank you, Jimothy. What a good boy." She gave the legally mandated pet as Jimothy purred like a bad transmission, sputters and all. What was she gonna do with the dollar? It was a nice gesture, but she didn't exactly have a ghost wallet. She got a treat for Sunny. She went over to the park vending machine. What soda did Sunny use to drink again? She grinned at the Orange Joe. Sunny pretended he didn't like it so that Kel could have more of this sludge. She thought it was awful, but hey, no accounting for taste. When she received the can, she grimaced. The design was before she was dead, and the can was, expired for that long as well. She just sat it on top of a nearby trash can with a sigh. Oh well. "Sunny, I'm home!" It was quiet when she got back, but that was the standard, not the exception. However, when she got back, she got into the kitchen. She found an odd sight, a dirty frying pan in the sink, a half-eaten steak light on the plate, a bit pink looking, but surprisingly good. Did Sunny cook this? She was so proud until she'd heard retching from upstairs. She gave it a small sniff. There was a hint of a sweet smell. Spoiled, but barely so. She rushed up the stairs and through the bathroom doors. Sunny was hunched over the bowl. He looked up, tears leaking. I tried to cook it as you showed me, but... He heaved again. She sighed and rubbed his back. Poor thing. You didn't do anything wrong, bro. It just went bad. I could barely tell. I'm proud of you. The smile that reached his eyes touched her ghostly heart until he retched again. Shh. Let it out. Night, Sonny. He waved back as Mari floated to the music room. He was sleepy and not feeling too hungry, but she couldn't blame him. She normally just sat at the piano, relaxed a bit before joining Sunny in sleep, but tonight she just spent some time relaxing with Miwu. She was getting up there in age, easily 10 years by now. Thankfully, though, she didn't need any vet services. She just played a soft little piece as she let her non-existent shoulders relax. It had been a long day, but Sunny was showing improvement. He tried to cook and eat for himself. He didn't wince when he woke up and saw her. The hell, he hadn't even really messed with her that much today. Other than the barbecue indoors, of course. As her mind drifted, Miwu stretched out and meowed at her. Seems like she wanted to join her brother in bed. Okay, kitty. I'll take you to bed. Hopefully tomorrow will be a quiet day. Kel was just walking home after running through the woods for several hours. It was nice to get hysterically lost on occasion. It really gave you a good sense of purpose, you know? As he rounded the corner, he saw his beloved Orange Joe, still cold, sitting on top of a trash can. Ah, the universe has rewarded him for passing the park with his beverage of choice. Now he will consume it and celebrate his escape. Orange Joe was spread across the empty street as he glared at the can. Oh, shit, this can was from 5 years ago. No wonder why it was thrown away. Man, this takes him back. When was the last time he had one of these? On the picnic with that girl? What girl again? Oh, Mari! Oh, yeah! She died! Shit! Depression was a hell of a thing. That's why Hiro got depressed that one time. There was something else. Some ghost, cat person. Sonny! Oh, shit! Sonny was his best friend for a long time until the incident. He still is, he thinks. He lived next door, where all that stuff happened. The gears in Kel's mind turned rust from disuse flaking off, cranking to bring him a divine epiphany. Kel dropped his can. Oh shit! Sonny is stuck in a haunted